Hello and welcome to another. This week we are in Advent and we're talking about reclaiming the promises of God. And I guess the thing I'd really like to focus on is reclaiming the sovereignty of God. We pretend as if we're in control of things all the time until something's happened, some small thing or a big thing that we didn't anticipate, that we didn't plan, and that we had no control over. Sometimes they're bad and tragic, and sometimes they're awesome. And we look back because we usually don't see it in the moment because we kind of go through life in the present, thinking of the future and worrying about what happened in the past and what people think about us, instead of thinking about God's in control of everything. God's got it. I almost think of like on a VCR tape, like you can watch the tape, you can watch the movie. I know this is ancient, antiquated um, media, but in the old VHS tapes, you could fast forward or rewind, or you could be in one spot. But if that's kind of like our life, we can't really go back. I mean, we can think about memories. We can't really go forward. We can live in this present moment, but God sees it all as if it's happening all at the same time. And so when I think about reclaiming the promises of God, the biggest promise of God is that God says, listen, I know the beginning and end. I'm Alpha and Omega. I know you before you're born. And I know when you take your last gasp of breath on this earthly life. And I've got you in all that linear space or however long or short it is. And I've got you beyond that. And so to me, reclaiming that God is in control, all things are in God's hands, gives me right perspective. Because unfortunately, I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of times I act as if it's all up to me and I've got it until all of a sudden one of the kids sick and somebody got into an accident and I got to go now to an emergency call. And I don't have anything. I thought I had this day all planned. No, you don't. Life continues to happen, and you don't know what's going to happen today, and you're not promised tomorrow. So remember that God is with you. God promises this one thing. Not that everything's always going to go swimmingly or everything's always going to turn out roses, or we can always just pray it through and make sure that it all happens just as we hoped. But the promise is that God says, you never walk alone. And no matter what you've done or where you've been, what regrets you've had, I will always pursue you in love. I'm never going to give up on you. And I don't think that's something many human beings can say of other human beings. There are a few. But magnify that 1,000-fold for God. That's one promise I never want to forget. I hope you don't either. No matter how tough life gets, God's got you.